Diagnos Manu Disso. Welcome to today's first ever readings, straight off the pages of the one and only Akronymicon. Today I'll be reading from one of our most widely known escapees, what your existence refers to as ADHD. Now, what is this terrifying amalgamation of letters? What does it even mean, I hear you desperately think to yourselves? ADHD is a hereditary symbiotic abomination, which over the millennia of your time has grown with up to 11% of the world's population. Like everything else in this book, this abomination is imperceivable in your world, except for the symptoms shown in the host. The mass has slow-growing and pulsating tendril-like limbs that spread to the ears, eyes, nose, and mouth. This enables the ADHD to siphon the chemicals it needs to thrive and grow, allowing the abomination to slowly gain control over the afflicted human. However, when left untreated, it can slowly take over the whole body, steadily growing like ivy on the side of a house. Luckily, like the ivy, you can remove the worst of it with some very simple, yet effective tools. It isn't easy at first, as it can feel as if they are being consumed by a torrent of bad decisions and life choices, making it harder for the host to function without structured help and weaponized empathy. And for those lucky enough not to be afflicted, it stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. That doesn't really help much, does it? No. The ADHD symbiote presents as a neurodevelopmental disorder in the host. It manifests in the afflicted via excessive amounts of inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsive behaviour that is pervasive, impairing, and otherwise not always appropriate for their own age. And this can cripple any developing self-esteem or self-confidence when left untreated. There are many types of manifestations, but there are three common variants. Primarily, hyperactive and impulsive ADHD. Second, we have primarily inattentive ADHD. And finally, combined type ADHD. The manifestation, however, presents itself uniquely in every single different human host. So, what are the symptoms of hyperactivity/impulsivity variant? These can manifest as fidgeting and squirming in their seat, or leaving their seat in situations where remaining seated is probably expected. Experiencing feelings of restlessness, has difficulty engaging in quiet, leisurely activities, constantly on the go, or acts as if they are driven by otherworldly forces. Talking excessively, certainly one of them. Blurting out answers instead of waiting their turn, which is very common. Interrupting or intruding on those around them. Next, we have the symptoms of the inattention variant, which manifests in the forms of making careless mistakes and lacking attention to detail. Difficulty sustaining their attention. Doesn't seem to listen when spoken to directly, as if they're just not quite engaged. Failing to follow through on tasks and instructions. Exhibiting poor organisation skills. Avoiding and disliking tasks that tend to require sustained mental effort. Losing things necessary for the tasks or activities that they're involved in. Becoming easily distracted, and this can include via unrelated thoughts, and is forgetful in daily activities. And then finally, if you have the combined variant, well, you could get a wide selection of flavours spanning the entire spectrum. There is executive dysfunction and emotional dysregulation that are the two core areas that seem to really affect the human host. Executive dysfunction is a medical term used to describe the range of cognitive, behavioural and emotional difficulties which often occur as a result of another disorder like or a traumatic brain injury. Individuals with executive dysfunction struggle with their planning, problem solving, organisation and time management, often freezing due to an inability to process the steps needed to start a task, let alone completing the tasks. Now, the symptoms of executive dysfunction are as followed. You have time blindness, or an inability to plan for and keep in mind future events. Difficulty stringing together actions to meet long-term goals. So you can have a goal, but you can't understand or visualise the steps involved to reach your goal. Trouble organising materials and setting schedules. Trouble controlling emotions or impulses. Sorry about that. Disconnected from my conduit, who is behind the camera, because without him, I can't talk, as you can see. Emotional dysregulation is a term used to describe an emotional response that is poorly regulated and does not fall within the traditionally accepted range of emotional reaction. It may also be referred to or as marked a fluctuation of mood or mood swings. The signs of emotional dysregulation include depression, anxiety, high levels of shame and anger, self-harm, excessive substance use, high-risk sexual behaviours, extreme perfectionism, highly conflictual interpersonal relationships, disordered eating, suicidal thoughts, or attempts. Now imagine repeatedly losing a tool needed to complete a task. This can lead to frustration and annoyance in just about everyone now and again, right? Now imagine repeatedly doing this throughout your day, misplacing everything from keys, phones, bags, hats, gloves, money, shoes, anything can be lost and seemingly claimed by the ether. This can derail even the most simple of tasks until you can find what you've misplaced or you just can't finish the task. The emotional dysregulation experience at this point would just exhaust you because you repeatedly feel bouts of intense guilt, shame and self-hatred. It is as though you have a faulty jetpack firing you straight into the red mist or slamming you into the cold hard ground. There's no real in-between. It's just extremes. And what are these feelings centered around? For essentially, repeatedly failing what appears to be a simple task. Tasks that you watch all of your peers achieve without a second thought. The alienation experienced can be disabling in its own right. But that emotional exhaustion would then kick in, fueling the impulsive behaviour, all in an attempt to self-soothe or medicate, while struggling to feel some form of normalcy, or because they can't quite sit with the constant underlying feelings of failure. A feeling that reinforces itself every time it is experienced. A feeling which isn't their fault. Now, what is happening in the body to cause these symptoms? The ADHD folks have issues with how the brains and bodies process various neurotransmitters. It's as if something's siphoning them. First off, it siphons dopamine, a neurotransmitter which is made in your brain. It acts as a reward center and helps with various bodily functions, including memory, movement, motivation, mood, and attention. Then with serotonin, this neurotransmitter is a multitasker which beasts several roles throughout the body, influencing learning, the memory, feelings of happiness, as well as regulating the body temperature, sleep, sexual behavior, and hunger. It is mostly found in the gut. Norepinephrine, which is as a neurotransmitter, it's a chemical messenger that helps transmit nerve signals across nerve endings to another nerve cell, muscle cell, or gland cell. As a hormone, it's released by your adrenal gland, little hat-shaped glands that sit on top of each kidney, honestly making them the coolest of your organs. As a neurotransmitter, norepinephrine is made from dopamine and is made from nerve cells in the brainstem area of your brain and in an area near your spinal cord. Norepinephrine is part of your sympathetic nervous system, which is part of your body's emergency response system to danger, the fight or flight response. Medically, the fight or flight response is known as acute stress response. With a deficit of neurotransmitters, all of which help humans maneuver through daily obstacles, it is no wonder how one disorder can be so debilitating when left untreated or unnoticed. But how do humans attempt to control something so pervasive? Well, they need to make changes to their lifestyles. Oh God, why? I hear you internally scream. But it seems obvious. You need to fix the imbalance in neurotransmitters that the aberration siphons. For serotonin production, you can eat certain foods. So egg, tofu, pineapple, cheese, salmon, nuts and seeds, turkey, anything with tryptophan. You can exercise, use a full spectrum bright light, vitamins and supplements, massages, the great paradox of them all, managing your stress, spending time socialising, and spending time with loved ones. For dopamine production, you can avoid indulging in a favoured chemical pastime. You know what I mean? That includes booze. You can maintain a healthy diet, avoid overly processed junk food, you can exercise regularly, spend more time outdoors, practice healthy sleep habits by setting yourself a bedtime and actually sticking to it, engaging in healthy, pleasurable activities. And you can also meditate or practice yoga. How can you increase norepinephrine naturally? You've got exercise, again, sleep, again. Small accomplishments. So start setting little achievable goals. Music. And playing music, or any other kind of art for that matter, is going to help. Again, there's meditation and eating dopamine-rich foods, such as chocolate. Another good option is the grey magic, known to you humans as medication, which varies depending on where you reside on your plane. So, let's go through yet another list. We have methylphenidate, stimulant which is believed to work by blocking the reuptake of dopamine and norepinephrine by your neurons. Magic. There's lisdexamfetamine. The active form of this drug blocks the reuptake of norepinephrine and dopamine into the presynaptic neuron and increase the release of those monoamines into the extraneural space. Magic. Dexamphetamine. Dextroamphetamine is a powerful stimulant of the nervous system that manifests its effects by releasing dopamine and norepinephrine from presynaptic nerve endings, thus stimulating the central dopaminergic and noradrenergic receptors. Or as we say, magic. Atomoxetine. This medicine works by increasing the number of norepinephrine, which we have learnt is an important chemical. Guanfacine. This increases and adjusts the number of neurotransmitters in the brain, which can help increase attention span and reduce impulsivity. Also via magic. Talk therapy, counselling is another area that is incredibly beneficial in controlling this abomination. An impartial professional who can listen and treat them with empathy and compassion they deserve. They are trained in being able to go through your sessions, allowing you to express yourself whilst keeping you safe. There is no cure, but with small positive steps, you can break it down over time to a point where you are in control of your own life and the abomination is no longer in a position to make demands, eventually receding. So there we have it. How to combat this affliction. A balanced diet, regular exercise, a sleep routine, medication, if you want it, socialising and dabbling in the arts. Tackle one area at a time with small, dedicated steps. Some days it will seem stronger than other days. Just remember that how you feel and how you are doing, they are not mutually exclusive. Look back at the steps you have made and ignore what the aberration tells you. Learn about yourself and how the disorders present themselves in your realm. Reach out and find a community. Find your people. Take up an old pastime you enjoyed as a child as well. Reconnect and nurture that lovely inner bastard. Join us next time for the next reading from the Akronymicon. Also, we are incredibly sorry for releasing all the aberrations in this book.